Hi, for today we are tasked to create or imitate these 6 different figures and or patterns. And to do that, let me just first go to our AutoCAD. And please allow me to create 6 boxes that will serve as a border or a margin for each of the figures that we will be working on a little later. By creating borders or margins, our figures will be having a uniform size, and as well as it will be arranged in a neat and uniform manner. So let's start creating our border. We can do that by just typing rec, which signifies rectangle, and specify the first corner point. After doing that, we can now specify or input the dimensions, and in my own preference, I would like my dimensions to be 6 by 6. I press enter. Now I have my first box, and I've said earlier we will be working on 6 figures and patterns. Therefore, I still need 5 more. And to do that, I can just apply the array command by just typing AR, which signifies array, and press enter. After that, we will be selecting our object, then press enter, and after doing that, we will be promptly asked what type of array we want, whether rectangular, path, or polar. In this scenario, the much more applicable type of array is the rectangular ones. And after clicking rectangular, it will promptly display this kind of rectangular or box arrays. But I will be only needing 6 boxes, so we can just modify the properties of this array by accessing the ribbon and the top part of the AutoCAD interface. I can just make the columns 3 and the rows 2. I will be also changing the distance between the columns and the rows and turn it into 8, as well as this one, and press enter. Now we have our 6 boxes that will serve as the border for each of our figures. Now let's go back and check our first figure that we'll be creating. This is our first figure, which is somehow or somewhat a bird-like figure. Therefore, let me just call this circle the head, and this part to be the beak, and this part to be the neck. And we can now go back to our AutoCAD. We can do that figure by just creating a line, type line, and then type L rather, then press enter, and then find the midpoint of this vertical line, which will act as the one of the endpoint of this line we were creating. Then press escape. By the way, as you can see, if we click this certain box, it will automatically select all of the boxes we've created. And to avoid that, since we are working on different figures, we can just type X for the explode command, and then click enter, and then select the object, and then enter. Now if we select the object, it will be selected separately, and that's what we want. So now we can go continue working our first figure. And now that we've created the reference line for our circle, we can now create the head of our figure, and we can do that by going to this ribbon and choose 2 point from the drop down menu under the circle. Then just specify the 2 points that we need, which in this case is the midpoint of this upper vertical line and the midpoint of this middle vertical line. Now we can go and create the neck part of this figure. We can do that by typing L for line command, and then start from the center of this circle and go downwards directly to the midpoint of the bottom vertical line. Then select, then press escape. Afterwards, you can now go and then move forward in creating the back part of the neck by again using the line command, and then start from the lower right corner of the box, moving through the quadrant, one of the 4 quadrants of this circle. Then from this point we can hover our crosshair directly downwards up until the bottom vertical line of the box. At this point, we've completed the neck part and the head part of this figure. And now we can go delete this reference line. You can do it by clicking the line and then type E for erase and then press enter. Or you can just click the line and then press delete on your keyboard. Now we can create the beak part of the figure. Let me start creating the beak part of the figure by creating a line and using the midpoint of this vertical line as the starting point of this particular line, going to this line and to this, going back to the center, then press escape. The last one is the upper part of the beak, and we can start it by pressing enter, pressing L for line command, and start to this, the end point of the previous line, and the end midpoint of this line should be tangent from one of the points of the head or the circle. Then press enter. Now we are done on our first figure. We can now delete our border. Oh, by the way, we will be needing this part of the border, therefore we will use the TR for trim command. Press enter. First select object, and then press enter and select the object you want to delete or trim. In this case, it will be this part of the box. Then press enter. As you can see, this line is left behind since we just trimmed the box and we do not delete the whole box entirely. Moving on, we will go to our second figure, and our second figure is a hexagon since it has 6 sides that has 3 circles inside it. And to do that, obviously we will first need to create a polygon which has 6 sides, or the hexagon. You can do that by typing the command pol, then choose polygon, then type how many sides your polygon that you need. In this case it is 6, and press enter. Then specify the center of the polygon. It should be here in the geometric center, or the center of this box. And then after that, we will be asked if the polygon we are creating is an inscribe or circumscribe. Based on what we've seen in the figure, it is an inscribe polygon. Therefore, it should look like this. Because having a polygon that is circumscribed looks like this. Therefore, this one is not the one that we need. So going back, to have our circle be on this location, on this specific location, all we need to do is create reference lines that will help us determine the exact location of that, or the specific location of that circle. So we will type L again for line. Just pick this point and this point as the end points of this line, and another line here, and then to create the circle here, the best option that we can choose is this last one, which is the tan. It's a way of creating a circle wherein you will be inputting or specifying 3 points where the circle should be tangent to. And here it is here, here, and here. Therefore, automatically it will display a circle that is tangent here, here, and here. Now we can just click this circle and then type CO for the command copy. Then all we need to do is just type the endpoint, and it should be here in this perpendicular, and again here in this perpendicular point. Sorry, here in perpendicular. Then press escape. Now all we need to do is to remove the unnecessary lines, which is this border line and this lines. Now at this point we've created our first and second figure. This is our third figure. It is a star-like figure that is embedded inside a octagon. At first glance, this figure is much more complicated as compared to the prior figures that we've created or imitated. However, we can make the process of making this figure much more easily by focusing on this part of the figure. This part of the figure. By focusing on this part of the figure, we can apply afterwards the array command. It will enable us to have the undone parts of this figure. So let's go back to our AutoCAD and do the third figure. All we need to do is first, just like what we did to the second figure, is to create the polygon. And then input the number of sides. Since it is octagon, it has 8 sides, and press enter. Specify the center of the polygon. Then it should be inscribed in a circle. And then there you go. We have our inscribed octagon. And then after doing that, we should create again our reference line. This will help us in determining the right angle or location of the lines and figures that we will be creating. Draw a line across this polygon as well as here from top to the middle. Then we will be creating again a line that's a 113 degree from our baseline. This is our base angle, this is our base angle, and it should have a 113 degree to be here, and this is specific inclination from our base angle. To do that, now there you go. Again, line, and there you go. Just remove the unnecessary or unwanted excess lines by the use of trim command. Now we can just apply the mirror command using the MI for the mirror command and press enter. We will be asked to select the object, and it should be like this. Enter, and there we go. After the object has been mirrored, we will be asked if the source object should be erased or not. In this particular scenario, we will be needing the source object, which is this one. Therefore, we will choose no. And then, as I've said earlier, after we've done creating this part of the figure, we can just apply the array command. And we can do this by just typing AR for array and then select the object. Then press enter. And for this particular type of figure, we will be choosing the polar. And there you go. And as you can see, it is not like the figure. However, we can modify the number of the items that has been arrayed. And it should be here in this part of the ribbon. From 6, we will be modifying that and make that value 8. Press enter. Now we have our third figure. Then just delete the margin or the border. Then press the delete on our keyboard. We are down to our last 3 figures. As we've done creating or imitating the first 3 figures in our reference image. Now our 4th figure should look like this. Let's go to our 4th figure. Go to this ribbon and choose the tan radius, since the circle is tangent here and here, and we should specify our own radius. And in my own preference, I would like the radius to be just 1, and then press enter. And instantly we will have this kind of circle positioned at the upper left corner of our margin. And now what's next that we need to do is to create the center circle, and we will be doing that by just typing C for circle command, then press enter. All we have to do is to specify the center of the circle, which should be here on the geometric center based on our OSNAP geometric center, that is. Here until it shows to be perpendicular. Now we have our first and second circle in our 4th figure. All we have to do now is to offset these 2 figures before we mirror this smaller circle. And to offset this, all we have to do is press O and then choose offset. O stands for offset. all we have to do is specify the distance first, which is what I want to be is 0.2. Press enter, then select the object, and over whether outside or inside is the offset, and in this case it should be on the inside. Then click, and for this bigger it should be an offset to the outside. Then I should click that one after, and then now there you go. All you have to do, what's left for us to do is to apply the MI command for mirror, then press enter, then select the object you want to be mirrored, then press enter, specify our mirror line, should be here, and there you go, line, and then here, and then after that we will be asked, just like what we've done earlier in the previous figure, we need our source object, therefore we will choose no. Then for the smaller circles on the bottom part, we can just apply the same process we've done to this particular circle. You can just type MI and then enter, select object, and then press enter, and there you go, just click no. All we have to do is just trim those unnecessary lines or unnecessary curves from the circle, and we can do that by just typing TR and then press enter, and then again enter, and then trim this one as well as this one. Zoom out and then zoom into this part. What we need is this one and this one. Zoom into this part. Here we need to trim this one as well as this one. And lastly, part, it should be this one and this one. Now we can exit and then select the border and just delete it. And now we have our fourth figure, our finalized fourth figure. Therefore, we can move on to our fifth figure. And there you go. This is our fifth figure, and it is a pattern, more of a pattern. And to simplify the process of doing this certain figure or pattern, all we have to do is some analysis, and because as we put a line in this part of the figure, we can see that this side of the figure perfectly reflecting this side of the figure. Hence, the use of mirror is applicable. All we have to do is work on this side, and afterwards, when we are done, we can just apply the command MI or the mirror command. So let's just do that quickly. Now all we need to do is to create a reference line. Type L, create a reference line diagonally. There. And then I should make another reference line here. There we go. We should escape to cancel the command. And for us to determine the specific and the more accurate distance between the parts of this figure or pattern, first we will need to measure this part of this line segment using the dim align command or dim aligned. Just click this endpoint up to this endpoint and hover it outside. Now we can see that that the dimension or the length of this particular line segment is 4.24. And going back to the figure, we can see if we extend these broken lines, we can see that this part of the figure or pattern is divided into 7 parts. Therefore, we can compute or determine the distance between these 7 parts of the figure by dividing this length, which is 2.24, by the number of parts we can find at this side of the figure, which is 7. And there you go. I just want to add that here in AutoCAD actually and basically offers us a very accurate measurement of all the objects that we are creating. So therefore, to maximize the accuracy that AutoCAD is offering to us, we will just copy this whole value. Regardless whether you round it off into 2 decimal places or to 4 decimal places, it will still compromise the accuracy of the figure. Therefore, what we need to do is copy the whole value, and now we can remove this dimension, and we will be needing to offset this line with a particular distance. Typing O, offset, offset, and then enter. Then just copy paste the distance that we've calculated earlier. Then press the enter. Select object. And then now we'll do is type M and then press enter. It will make our process much more easier since it will only require us to repeatedly press the enter and it will automatically fill the object. Next, this one. So offset, then press enter, object, and then type M, and press enter. Then over your crosshair, the direction you wanted to offset the object. There you go. And another to other side. And there you go. Then press escape. And now we can go trim or remove all the unnecessary lines from this figure. And we can do that by typing TR for trim and press enter. And then just select the reference object, then press enter again. Now we can select all the lines that we want to be trimmed, just like that. Then press escape. And now all we need to do is manually trim the unnecessary lines from this pattern to make the half of our figure. Then you can trim this line. You can trim this line, this line, this line, this line, this line. So basically we are trimming every other line, just like this. Closing to finishing the half of this fifth figure. And now we are done doing the half of this figure. And now, as I've said earlier, after we are done and doing this part of the figure, we can now just apply the mirror command. And to do that, just type MI for mirror command and select all the lines that you want to be mirrored. Then specify the mirror point or the point of the mirror line, and in this case it should be this one. Now we can hover our crosshair here at the point, this endpoint, and then should we want the source object to be erased? Absolutely no, because we will be needing that one. So there you go. Now instantly we've created this part of the figure without actually doing it. We're enabled to do that by applying the concept of mirror command. Now moving on to our last figure, our sixth figure, this one, which is this one. And then let's go back to our AutoCAD and do the last figure. And to do that, what we need to do is again create a line, across this box, then again this part of the box, and again here at the midpoint of this line, and the midpoint of this line. There you go. Then the purpose of creating these lines is for us to have the perfect measurements in every part of this six figure, and we don't need this and this actually, so we can now trim those lines just like that. And then we can now offset this figure, since we need 5 of these lines on this side of the figure and another 5 from this side of the figure. And to do that, just type O and then press enter. And I want to be the distance of the offset to be 0.3. Then just type or just press the enter. Then select object. Since we are doing a multiple offset, you will need to type M first and press enter. And then hover your crosshair to the direction of the offset you want. And here, in this case, it is on the right side. Just click it like that. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Apply the same thing or same process to the opposite side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. We have these lines. Now you can do the art part of this figure by typing F for the fillet and press enter. You will be asked to select the first object, which is this, and then the second object is this, and enter. Select the first and the second, neither enter, and repeat the process. And there you go. Now just insert line in this part and then delete this. And actually we can also delete this excess lines. Don't need it anymore, as well as this one. Trim this excess line. And what's left for us is this part of the figure. And as you can see, this part of the figure is already done, but we can see that this part of the figure is same as this one and this one, and as well as this one. Therefore, we can just apply the copy command. And also we will be needing the rotate and move command. And to do that, all we need to do is just type the CO for copy. And then select the objects that you want to be copied, then press enter. Select the base point and drag your object. And there we go. We have now two identical parts of this figure. And to use this one, first we will need to rotate this. Select all that. objects, and then type RO for rotate command. Then click base, and then there we go. Now we've rotated our figure, and we can now move this back to this inside the box or our margin. So we can type M and then press enter, select all this, and then enter, select the base point. I want this to be here and just specify. Just like that, we are now done to the half of our last figure. And now we can do the same process on this time. We can apply those process in this too to make our process more easier, much more easier. So just copy or CO, then press enter, select all the object, press enter, select the end, this endpoint, then drag again for figure outside the box. And then to rotate back, all we need to do is again type RO, press enter, select the object, and there we go. We can now move this figure back inside our border. Do that by typing M, then press enter. Zoom in for us, and then there we go. Now we are done in creating our last figure. We'll just remove this, and just like that, we've created these 6 figures. First is this one, the second one is the hexagon one, the third one is the octagon, the fourth one is this 5 circles, the fifth one is this pattern, and the last one is this cross-like figure. And that's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've learned something. So till next time.